Hello, I'm Waxela Sananda, and today I'm going to answer a question that was put in the comments on one of my YouTube videos. And just so you know, I am happy to answer questions if you include them in the comments of the video, this video or another one. If I think that the question is relevant and would be helpful to a lot of people. So that's what I feel like today is all about. So this is from Zara, and Zara asks, well, here's her comment. Self-healing has been coming up a lot for me lately, and recently I'm encountering a lot of people who do not believe in energy healing or anything woo-woo. How does the collective consciousness affect what is and isn't possible, especially in terms of healing ailments and connecting with dimensions? I think it's really interesting because of all of the programming on the planet. And I wonder what would be possible or what we'd be able to do if we didn't have centuries of these limited programs and beliefs. What would be possible? Thank you, Zara, for that question. So I really feel like my galactic channel wants to chime in on this one. Particularly around this. This is a matrix that we live in. This is a programmed reality. And so when we come here, most of us are coming from higher dimensions of reality or, the spirit world, which is certainly less dense and a whole different experience of being. And we choose to come here for the life lessons that we'll gain. Some of us come here to grow through being teachers. Some of us come to learn about life in physical form and how our behaviors impact our surroundings when we're in physical form. Some of us actually come to experience suffering. So there are many, many reasons to come here. And the programs that have us, the way that that's worded is kind of speaking into the lack programming, right? The programming that is more destructive rather than constructive. So what I feel is really important to understand about this reality is that it's a reality of conscious creation when one steps into that version of self, of being, of awareness, where we think, okay, now I'm ready to work on expanding my reality and recreating or reprogramming some of those programs that maybe haven't been working for me in the past. This is where conscious life creation comes into play. This is where embodied ascension comes into play, which is my realm of work. So how that affects us, it's very mental to start with. What we believe is what impacts our ability to create in this realm. So Zara, when you're referencing those people who don't believe in energy healing or anything woo-woo, that's where their consciousness is, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. I'm never here to convince people like this is how it is and this is how it works. If you're at the level where you're ready to look at energy, to look at the world beyond the physical, that is a level of soul evolvement. And the important thing to understand is that it doesn't matter if a lot of the people on the planet are not there. That is perfectly fine because they are where they're meant to be. They are in the perfect place for them at this time, even if they're friends and family members, and you want them to get the bigger, to get more, to understand energy, to understand healing, to understand the world of multidimensionality. They just might not be ready for that. That might not be what they're here for. There's no judgment in that. That's just where they're at. So we have to remember to let people be where they are. And great that you're ready to explore higher dimensions, the world of energy, the world of healing, the world of ascension. That means your soul is ready to step into a new level of evolvement. So the programming is in place so that everybody can have the experience that they're having. That's what's so amazing about this planetary experience, and so unique, because we get people on a huge spectrum of belief, right? People that only believe this is the physical body. I come here, I have this one life, I die, nothing else is going to happen. There is no God, there is no whatever world of energy, and this is all there is. That's one side, one realm of belief. And that's perfectly fine for people that want to believe that they're going to have the life experience they have. They're going to have the afterlife experience they have or don't have based on their belief system, right? And then all the way on the other side of that is people like myself who I have past life memories. I have dimensional, like galactic memories. I've, been visited by galactics. I believe and teach and share about ascension and embodiment and the temporary nature of this reality, and how wonderful it is that we can have all of these beliefs, everything in between. And certainly there are people much, much higher than myself, much more evolved than I am, that are here as well. And we get to have, this whole spectrum of belief while we're here, and everybody gets to have the experience they have. It's not about right or wrong, good or bad. It's about the juiciness of this reality is that we get to evolve so much in it. And so when you're at the point of, okay, I'm ready to address a new level of consciousness that I haven't been ready for in the past, then you're going to level up. You're going to open up to new ways of thinking, the world of energy. Sometimes that happens because of an accident, a near-death experience. Sometimes it's a spontaneous awakening experience. Sometimes it's someone that you heard talk and something landed a certain way, or something happens in meditation, or just being in the frequency or the energy of someone who's very evolved. All of these things are catalysts for a more evolved program to be played or played out in your personal reality. So really what I'm speaking into here is it doesn't really matter so much about what has gone on before with the programming. Yes, certainly there have been evolved races here. There have been lots of different cultures and cultural programs on this planet, and all the way from the extremely negative, nefarious to the extremely loving, positive, and benevolent, and everything in between. And so the beauty of it is we get to choose where we are. And, right now it's very clear that there is malevolent programming being broadcast into the matrix via our internet, screens, via the radio, via the televisions, lots and lots of that. But there is so much positivity as well. I mean, it just depends on what you're focused on and what you're looking for. It's all available. I find that lots of evolved people have turned off the fear boxes, and they're not listening to those broadcasts, because those broadcasts really can bring your energy down. And the same is true mentally. What you're tuned into program-wise is what is going to inform your frequency. It's going to inform your state of being. So make sure you're putting positive information, uplifting information, and helpful information into your awareness on a daily basis. This doesn't mean that you have to totally tune out all other realities. You can be extremely evolved and extremely aware of all of the different things going on around you, and then make informed choices on the programs that you will participate in. So I would say, in speaking into what would be possible if we didn't have that programming, centuries or, who knows, millions of years of programming to keep us at a limited state of consciousness on this planet. Well, that would be a different planetary experience. This planet has this programming so that we can come here and learn in it. It was created as you've probably heard it called Earth School, as a school of learning and an opportunity. There's so much opportunity here. You could say the same for, if you go to one college or another college, or study a certain thing. If you study to be a lawyer or you study to be an artist, you're going to have very different training, very different programming from your teachers. So this is part of this reality that we come into. We choose this. We chose this. So everything that happens here is for us to learn and grow from. Now, speaking into the part about healing, you were asking about healing the body and how the programming affects that. We do have the programming that says, oh, if I get sick, I have to go to the doctor. I can't cure myself with my mind or my thoughts or energy or, blah, blah, blah. That is a narrative that exists here, especially in the West. But certainly there are many, many other narratives that are, especially indigenous. I can heal myself through thought and through ritual and through energy. And so the more we learn about that and focus on that and believe that and practice that, it is true. I have been to various events where I've seen people spontaneously healed. I myself have healed myself. I read the book, I believe it was Mutant Message Down Under, or one of those books a long time ago, that talked about the indigenous people in Australia that would, if somebody, let's say they're on a walkabout, they're far, far away from any modern medicine, and somebody breaks their leg, they would all send intention and frequency, so energy healing, right? And intention healing and the power of thought, as well as didgeridoo, so sound frequency, into that person, and that person would spontaneously heal themselves. So when I read that, I really absorbed that, because there was a part of my being that said, yes, I know how to do this. I know it's true. And this is part of who I am and what I'm capable of as a human being on this planet. I know that I can do that. So I absorbed that. I received that. I chose to make that part of my truth. And 2 times in my life, I have had the experience of having a severe injury, particularly, I think each of them was an ankle. I could tell you the most recent one. It was about 7 years ago now, I think. But my partner at the time and I were going out, and I was wearing kind of some boots, and I ran in to get something. I'd forgotten my purse or something, caught my ankle, my boot, which had a heel on it, on the carpet. My ankle, I just heard it twist and crack, and like it went a very funny angle, like, bent over, crack, made a loud popping, horrible noise, terrified me. And I fell down, sharp pain, felt like a broken bone, broken ankle, right? And I immediately went to, because I had plans. I didn't want to cancel my plans, and I did not want to deal with a broken ankle. I went straight to personal healing. There's nobody around me. Everybody else was out in the car waiting for me to run in and get something. And I got so powerful. I just tuned into my ankle. I reversed. I went backward in my mind, and I replayed the scenario where I just twisted my ankle a little bit, and there was no cracking. I just replayed it like a dozen times very quickly, sending energy and intention of healing. I am not even healing, because I was sort of rewinding it in my mind to replay it, so it didn't happen that way. It happened differently. I just tripped and twisted my ankle a tiny bit, and backed it up. It was like rewinding a film screen, replaying it. So, okay, an incident happened, but it was much, much, much less severe. And I spent about 5 minutes doing that. I got very, very clear and very strong with the image of a healed ankle. It was just a tiny bit sore. And I fixed it. I healed it in that moment. It worked. And I've done this other times for myself. I did this one time for my son when he had a broken rib. He was very young. The doctors terrified us as his parents and said if he gets bumped into or falls down, the rib could puncture his lung, take him to the emergency room. He might die. He won't be able to breathe. All these horrible things, right? So we were on a trip driving from Iowa to Texas, and my son fell in the shower at a hotel we were staying the night at and screamed. Obviously it was very painful. And the first thing we did is panic. But then immediately I went into, like, I got really, really, really big energetically. I grabbed him and, I put him on the bed on my lap and I said, take a breath, take a very gentle breath. Can you breathe? And he could breathe, but it was very painful. And I just called in all of the angels, all of the guides, all of his guides. I got very strong and clear that he is well, he is healed, he can breathe, his lungs are healthy. I became like a massive version of myself. And if anyone has children and you've seen your children in pain, you know what I'm talking about. There's nothing more important in that moment than your child's well-being. And this was a potentially life-threatening issue. So I got just called in all of the support and all of his support. And I held the space for that healing in such a strong and powerful way that there was nothing else possible. Only his wellness was possible. And within several minutes, he was breathing, his breathing normalized, and he started to move around a little bit, and he's like, I'm okay. And and he was okay. And so, I also helped a woman do this. I was at a retreat and she fell and twisted her ankle badly. And she was on the ground. She's like, oh my gosh, my ankle, and I can't walk. And I just spoke to her and I said, it's well, let's replay it. I did the same process that I did for myself when I injured my own ankle. And she got up and she was able to walk. She's like, oh my gosh, I did it. And this is her, right? I was just telling her how she did it. She chose it, right? And you can do this too. We can all do this. So I know this is kind of getting to be a long story, but this is how it works. It is truly, truly mind over matter. If you believe it, it can be so. So you have to believe that it's possible, number one, and then bring your energy to the situation. If your child is ill or hurting, if you personally or someone you love is ill or hurting and willing to heal, then by all means, you can heal and you can heal others with intention and clarity of thought and focus and the energy of source power. So you can call on whoever you call on, whether you say God or Jesus, or if it's Buddha or your guides and angels, all of them, whoever you believe in, it's not important what you believe in. It's important that you believe that it's possible. And source energy, whether I like to just call in the divine, which for me encompasses all of it. And the divine heals. And so this is about belief. It doesn't matter what the previous programs are. It doesn't matter what programming is being broadcast right now, because it's a massive spectrum available to us here. And so we can tune into that. We can heal ourselves and others in that energy, but we must be willing to get big and be powerful. We are powerful when we know that we have access to that universal energy, to the divine energy that is present here. We all have access to it. Most people are not even using a tiny fraction of what's available to us, but it is available and we can use it for healing ourselves and others as we choose. Okay, so also connecting with dimensions, you mentioned that. In connecting with dimensions, the multidimensionality. Now this, I love this. I'm a galactic shaman. This is my world. Connecting with the galactics, connecting with other dimensions, connecting with other realities, other universes, other experiences of being. We have infinite access to that. I do talk a lot about the heart as a portal of the whole, hologram, a portal to the divine. When we go within our hearts, open our hearts, go within our hearts, we have access to all that is unimaginable and things beyond the wildest imagination, right? And these things open up as we allow ourselves to explore. So I'm an avid explorer of consciousness. I think anyone who's drawn to shamanism is naturally an explorer of consciousness. And when we access these other realms, again, so much is possible. Just like accessing the realms of healing, we can also access the dimensions of reality. There first has to be a willingness to go there. And, for some people, what opens the door is plant medicines. I do not have a problem at all with people accessing dimensions through plant medicines. I'm not going to say that you should do that. I would never tell anyone they should, but it is an option that is here. We are Earth. Earth is us. Plants are Earth. I do believe that there are certain medicines that were put here in the form of plants, plant medicines that are available to us as humanity to help us expand our awareness and open our minds. For someone who's very psychic and empathic from birth, like myself, I can get there pretty easily without plant medicines. I still very much appreciate using plant medicines, and plant medicines did play a very powerful role in my own expansion. So just to say, I don't say one way or another that you should or shouldn't. Tune in with yourself, check in with yourself, and ask, is this right for me? Certainly before taking on any plant medicine journey experience, decide and ask yourself, tune into your heart, is this the right path for me? There are certainly many other ways to do it. Meditation, going to retreats, being around people who are doing expansion work and transformational work, taking courses. There's a light technology that I use called Lucia Light, and Lucia Light is a hypnagogic light that opens people up psychically, that interacts with the through the eyes with the pineal gland, and helps people access those higher dimensional states without ingesting any substances. Some people are very sensitive to those things, and plant medicines can also be overwhelming. There's something you have to integrate after you do it, and you want to make sure you go into a plant medicine journey or any journey like that as a sacred, very, very sacred experience, and expect to take time to unpack it and integrate it afterward. The same is true with the Lucia Light experience. However, it's much milder than a plant medicine journey because it's pure light. You're not ingesting a substance that's going to have to be processed through the physicality as much. The Lucia Light, I will say, also played a role in my transformation and awakening. Each thing I've done throughout my life has expanded my awareness, expanded my ability to hold light, expanded my consciousness, and opened up the doors of perception and multidimensionality. And this is true for everyone. I'm just sharing from my experience. So, there are many ways to access the multidimensional consciousness and the portals that are available to us. The first step is believing, and then with your intention, asking what is the best way for me? When you're in collaboration with the universe, knowing, okay, whatever is right for me will show up. It will show up for you. Someone will come to you and say, hey, I'm going to go do this thing. Would you like to come with me? Would you like to experience it? Would you like to explore it? Or you'll start hearing about, a certain place over and over again. You'll start having synchronicities of people sharing the same type of information with you. When, just be open to how it comes, and then pursue your journey in the way that feels proper and correct for you. We're all individuals, so we're all going to have our own style, our own ways of finding that information and opening up in our way. Okay, so I think I've addressed the main points, and this got a lot longer than I intended for it to be, but I really wanted to share from my experience and answer that question in a way that I hope will be helpful to everyone watching. And if this brings up more questions, I'd love to hear from you. Put a comment, a question, and your ideas and thoughts in the comments section, and I will answer them. And if you have more questions for me that I think would be helpful to others, I will answer them in another video. I'm going to end there today. Thank you so much for watching. Namaste.